Welcome on into the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. This is episode number 86 for 2025, and it is our final, well, not our final episode, but our episode wrapping up the AFLW season. The grand final was on the weekend, so we're going to go through our final wrap of that match and the rest of the AFLW season. If you're new around here, we do 1 to 2 episodes every single week, depending on what time of year it is and what is happening in the football world. This will be our only episode this week, and we'll be doing 1 episode a week up until Christmas. And then coming January, basically, we're going to be jumping back into 2 episodes a week just about straight away because there is plenty of content to get through before the AFL season starts next year. So make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button depending on what platform you're on. Make sure you share it with a friend. Like the video if you enjoy it. Leave a comment. All the interactions help, so feel free to do that. It all helps out a lot. Yeah, let's jump into this episode. The plan is we're going to go through the grand final from the weekend. We'll run through as much of that as we can. Everything you need to know about what happened in that game. Wrap up the Kangaroo season. A fantastic season from them. Another disappointing finish to Brisbane's season, 2 years in a row for them. So we'll go through that, and then we're going to go through all the award winners that we do for the year. So MVP, Best and Fairest, Rising Star, all AFLW first and second teams. We're going to have all of that for you in this episode. So there's plenty to get through. We'll wrap up the episode with highest rated players for the year and just a quick little look back at our predictions for the AFLW season this year and how they went. So we're going to run through that. A fair bit to get through. Not sure exactly how long it will take, but we're going to jump into it. We'll kick off with the grand final that was played on Saturday night. And it was the Kangaroos going back to back. The perfect season. 9 goals, 256. Plays Brisbane, 2 goals, 416. Perfect. Absolutely perfect season from Kangaroos. Probably their 2 hardest games were the last 2 games, which is how you like to see it. Knocking off Melbourne just the week before, and then a few early moments of worryingness, I guess, for them. Brisbane came out of the blocks really well, but in the end, Kangaroos were just too strong and got the job done. In the end, by 40 points, Brisbane really struggled to get any scores after about the 5-minute mark of this game. So let's run through the timeline of the match. Brisbane kicked the first goal. Only took them a couple minutes. Charlotte Mullins kicked one from a set shot from about 30 metres out. Got the Brisbane Lions on the board. They then got it behind through a rushed behind. A few minutes later to be 7-0 early before Ellie Sharon. What a pickup she was for the Kangaroos in the off-season. Kicked a left foot snap to get the Roos on the board. That was about 8-minute mark of the first quarter. Basically tied it back up, just down by a point at this point, the Kangaroos. And then late in the quarter, Bella Eddie kicked one from a set shot from about 15-20 metres out directly in front to give the Kangaroos a 2 goals 0-12 to 1-1-7 lead. So 5 points up at quarter time were the Kangaroos. Second quarter was an absolute domination from the Kangaroos. The game turned around very early in this one. The Lions kicked the first behind through Orla O'Dwyer. But after that, there was a 100-metre penalty to Kate Sherlaw that took her to the goal line. It was a brain fade. There's no doubt about it. One of the worst things you can do in a grand final is give away a 50, but to give away back-to-back 50s and take your opponent from the wing and a toughish spot to get it into a decent scoring spot all the way to the goal line and a guaranteed goal. When the game was in the balance, at this point it was 12-8. But that was, just a crucial moment and one that Kangaroos pounced on. So they were now up to 18-8. Jenna Bruton kicked her first at the 10-minute mark of this quarter, And then Ellis Sharon kicked a second. Another left foot snap, a little bit further out this time, 18-minute mark of the quarter. They were 30-8 at halftime. And while it wasn't over, it certainly felt like it was a long way to being over at this point. Kangaroos are just too good with a lead. That's too good from anywhere in the match, to be fair. But at 22 points up at halftime, you felt like it was probably over. And they kicked the first out of halftime as well, with Talia Randall kicking the Roos' sixth goal of the game before Brisbane finally got one. Ruby Spark kicked Brisbane's second 7 minutes into that third quarter. There then was not another score in that third quarter, and it was 36-14 at three-quarter time. You felt like that was enough, and it was just going to be cruise control home, and the Kangaroos pounded on three quick ones to start the third quarter to put it out of reach. Jasmine Garner kicked one. Not too many weeks go by without Garner kicking a goal. This was no exception. And then Jenna Bruton kicked second goals number 2 and 3 for them in this match. Fantastic performance. Most goals Jenna has ever had in a game of AFLW. I think previous best was 2. So to kick 3 in a grand final was an outstanding effort. Then there was a few behinds either way, both teams kicking a couple. And it ends up 9-2, 56 to 2-4, 16. Too strong, the Kangaroos. Best on ground award went to Ellis Sharon. No surprise there, really. Kicked 2 goals, had 28 touches, I think, in the end. Was just fantastic. I mean, there's Kangaroos galore that played exceptionally well in this game. So, yeah, no real surprise that Sharon got best on ground. But also like Riddell, Garner, all fantastic. Team rating, the team ratings that we do, Kangaroo 63-4 to Brisbane 51-6. That is the second closest anyone's got to Kangaroos in the rating system this year, I believe. Actually third. I think Bombers might have got slightly closer than 12 points. But basically this year has been a domination from the Kangaroos, and this was no exception. Running through some team stats from this game. Brisbane were well and truly in this game on the stat sheet throughout most of the night, or certainly first half. But in the end, 50 extra disposals for the Kangaroos. They are a high disposal team, certainly compared to Brisbane, and that is the way it played out. A little bit below average for both teams. Inside 50 count, this is where it mattered early and throughout the game. Even though Brisbane were dominating that inside 50 count throughout most of this game, the Kangaroos' efficiency up forward and ability to kick goals was absolutely crucial. At one point, I think there were 6 goals from 20 inside 50s, 6 goals straight from 20 inside 50s, which is just a ridiculous number. Like, that sort of efficiency, you're going to struggle to beat a team if they're going at that rate. Kangaroos actually had 5 less inside 50s in this game, kicked an extra 7 goals. So that just tells you how good they were going forward in this game, which was a little bit different than the normal Kangaroos game. So far, most of this year, they dominated inside 50s, and they're really good at scoring when going... Oh, not as good as they were at scoring going forward, but defensively, they don't concede that many inside 50s, whereas this one was a little bit different. So... not a massive story there, but just sort of fascinating that they showed a different way to win a game of football in this one. Clearance game, they dominated. Stoppage clearances, 21-8. Centre clearances were 7 apiece, but that 21-8 stoppage clearances is an absolute domination from the Kangaroos. They won contested football by 11, uncontested by almost 50. It was a very high turnover game. Brisbane 77, which is 11 above their average, and the Brisbane Lions 78, which is 14 above their average. So both teams well above average in turnover numbers, especially Brisbane. That's a huge number for them. Only other interesting numbers, I guess, tackle numbers pretty similar for both teams, 70-68. Tackles inside 50, 20-14 in favour of Kangaroos. Yeah, other than that, not too much else. to go through on the team stat sheet. Having a look at player ratings for this game, but just get that tab up. If you're watching this, if you're not, there is right now on the screen our MVP votes for the game. If you're new around here, we do a rating system for every single game, rate every single player, and from that we do these MVP votes. So the 5 highest rated players for every team get votes every single game. The winning team get 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, goes towards the MVP and also the finals best finals player. And then the losing team gets 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So the losing team get half the votes of the winning team. Ratings in this game, we'll start with Kangaroos. Jazz Garner rated the highest in this Kangaroos outfit. Didn't win best on ground, but was exceptional. The ball use of Jazz Garner is just typically well above that of most high ball winning midfielders. 26 disposals in this game at 77%. You're looking at Ash Riddell, who was outstanding, had 38 disposals, went at 55%. LS Sharon, 28 disposals at 64%. So that's a fair bit below that of Jazz Garner, who's absolutely exceptional in that facet of the game. Just really good ball use, really good tackler, good clearance player, and week in, week out does it without a doubt. Also, intercept player, got 7 intercepts, was good in that area. You just know what you're going to get from Jazz Garner, and she showed it all year, and the grand final was no exception. Has been Kangaroos' highest rated player in all 6 finals games played over the last 2 seasons in our rating system, so that tells you how good she is. 8, or second highest rated Kangaroo, was Ash Riddell. 38 disposals, as we said. Kicked a goal. No, didn't kick a goal this week. Kicked a goal the week before. Absolutely fantastic game, as we always get from Ash Riddell. Was the league best and fairest winner this year. Racked up the disposals all year long, and this was no exception. They could not stop Ash, and was a key factor in the Kangaroos winning this one. Ellie Sharon played 2 games back from injury. One in the prelim final, was their 3rd highest rated player. Did exact same here. Was absolutely crucial. That first half of football, first quarter especially, absolutely exceptional. 28 disposals, 2 goals, massive influence around the ground, a lot of metres gained, just massive for the Kangaroos. Libby Birch in the back line was their 4th highest rated player. Really good game there. Erica O'Shea, another running defender who had an exceptional year all year long, and this grand final was no exception. Outstanding there. Jenna Bruton with those 3 goals was their 6th highest rated player. After that, you're looking at Ruby Tripodi, Emma Kearney, Tess Craven, Kim Rennie, Jasmine Ferguson, Kate Sherlaw, Amy Smith, Eliza Shannon, Vicky Wall, and then you're down to the lowest, 6 players for North Melbourne: Talia Randall, Bella Eddie, who kicked that early goal, Alice O'Loughlin, who struggled to have much impact in this game, Taylor Gatt, Emma King, and Blathin Bogue, who played the worst game of her season this year in the grand final, but it did not hurt them at all. Jumping across to the other side of the fence, and the Brisbane Lions, their highest rated player, probably goes against what most people would consider was the best player for Brisbane in this game. Most people would say Isabel Dawes, but Jada Ellinger, absolutely outstanding here. 18 touches, 12 of those were intercepts, had multiple chase down tackles, was absolutely crucial in this game, I think, and rightly so, in my opinion, rated very, very highly. Had a really good season, had a really good finals campaign. Really took her game to another level this year, I believe. Next was Isabel Dawes, had plenty of the football. 31 touches in the end, 442 metres gained, was very, very good. Shannon Campbell, general defender, who didn't have a heap of the football, but won the ball well, did most things good. Ali Anderson was fourth highest rated player for Brisbane, and then Charlotte Mullins, who kicked the first goal for the Lions. After that, we would go Jennifer Dunn, Brianna Conan, Sophie Conway, Natalie Grider, Kathy Spark, Talia Hickey, Eleanor Hartill, Ruby Spark, Ola O'Dwyer, Lily Postlethwaite, and then this is the disappointing bit for the Lions. 6 of the lowest 7 rated players on the ground were Brisbane Lions players, and a couple of them very crucial players for them typically. Courtney Hodder played one of Hodder's lowest rated games of the season. Not great there. Dakota Davidson struggled to have any impact. Taylor Smith, Shania Davison, Ellie Hampson, and Nisa Dooley. You'll notice most of them are forward line players. So the Brisbane forward line players, even though the ball was going into their 50 a lot, maybe the delivery wasn't fantastic, but their forward line players really struggled to execute, and hence they're all pretty lowly rated, whereas the North Melbourne defence all rated reasonably high on the most part. Libby Birch, Erica O'Shea were good. Emma Kearney was solid. Jasmine Ferguson did a really good job, as did Eliza Shannon. So the Kangaroos defence really did stand up in this game. I know there was a lot of talk about none of them in the All-Australian team. I think typically their defence hasn't really been needed to dominate because their midfield does so well, because their forward line scores so well. But in this game, there was definitely pressure put on this North Melbourne defence, and they absolutely stood up and dominated it. So that's pretty much everything we've got to go through in this game. I don't think there's much else. It was just Kangaroos clinic. The perfect season finished with the perfect result. Back-to-back premiers. Fantastic effort from the Kangaroos. It's pretty funny. We've been doing this podcast now for 2 years. Not quite to the day. We're getting close to 2 years to the day. And so we've done 2 seasons of the AFL men's and 2 seasons of AFL women's. And we've only had 2 premiership teams. Kangaroos have gone back-to-back in the AFLW, and Brisbane Lions have gone back-to-back in the AFL men's. So we'll see if that changes in 2026. We'll be back for another big season next year. But that's all that we've seen so far. Moving on, this is how our tips went for the weekend. There was only one game, obviously. Kangaroos. We said by 26, they won by 40, so I feel like that's reasonably close, just 14 points off. We go 1 for 1 for the week, obviously. For the season, 85 out of 117. Pretty solid. Just the one wrong in the finals series. Most weeks were pretty good. We had 1 or 2 bad weeks that really cost us in our AFLW tipping this season, but overall, pretty decent numbers. Now we jump into the awards that we are doing. We did the AFL Men's Awards night about 5-6 weeks ago. Now we've got the AFLW. First of all, League MVP. So this goes on our voting system that we mentioned about top 5 rated players for every team, every game. This is just for home and away season. No finals matches in this part of it. And Ash Riddell wins for the 2nd year in a row. 92 votes this year. Just edging out Jasmine Garner in 2nd, the teammate, of course, of Ash, on 84. Did miss a game, Jazz Garner, and was injured halfway through another one. So probably unlucky in a way there. Ebony Marinoff, 3rd place this year, 76 votes, just ahead of Ella Roberts on 75. Laura Gardner on 66 for Sydney. Ali Anderson from Brisbane on 65. Kate Hoare on 64 for Melbourne. Georgia Nan Scarlin also on 64. Lucy Wales, 63. Missed the last 3 games of the home and away season, I believe. So was well and truly in the hunt. Not quite for first, but certainly would have been in the hunt for maybe top 4 had Lucy played the last few games. And Georgie Prespakis on 60 votes is your top 10 for season 2025. So Ash Riddell back-to-back league MVP on the All Aussie Rules football channel. Best finals player, same system, just for the finals matches. And for the 2nd year in a row, Jazz Garner takes it out with a perfect score of 30 out of 30. You just can't beat her in a finals game, really. Absolutely fantastic again here. 30 votes for Jazz Garner. Ash Riddell, runner-up, 18 votes. Also Kate Hoare, also on 18 votes. So tied for second, those two fantastic finals campaigns. And then Ebony Marinoff, Aaron Fitzpatrick, and Jade Ellinger round out the top 5, all with 15 votes for the best finals player this year. Outstanding Individual Award. So this goes by percentage of total votes. So obviously losing teams can't win as many votes. So therefore a way to give the players that don't play in a team that goes undefeated have a chance of winning an award like this. We do a percentage based. This includes finals matches, this one. So Ella Roberts got 84.2% of West Coast's available votes this year and missed a game in that as well. So it could have been even better. Outstanding year from Ella Roberts. Took her game to another level. Rating in our system went up about 15, 20 points. Absolute fantastic performance from Ella Roberts. If she improves again next season, watch out for Ella and the West Coast Eagles next year. Ebony Marinoff, 82.7% of Adelaide's votes, is second. Georgia Nan Scarwin is third with 80%. Mon Conti, 78.57%. After about 6 weeks, I think, was on 100% of Richmond's votes. I won't say she dropped off in the back half of the year. Maybe got a little bit more support from some teammates, though. Jazz Garner finishes in 5th with 76%. Did miss a game and a half. Ash Riddell, 6th place with 73.3%. As is Laura Gardner from Sydney. Georgia Prasparkas with 70.59, Kate Hoare with 65.6, and Mimstrom rounds out the top 10 with 64.44% of Fremantle's votes this year. Rising Star Award, no surprise here. There's only one person that could have won this one, and it is one of the best names in the game at Zippy Fish. 38 votes. So we did 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the highest, for the best 5 players each week that were eligible for the Rising Star. So 12 weeks, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zippy Fish got 38 votes, absolutely dominated this award. Havana Harris and Poppy Schultz equal on 14 in second place. And then Laura Stone and Lucia Painter equal 4th with 11. A couple players unlucky, mainly speaking in Sophie McKay. No finals were included, so therefore probably played her best football of the year in finals, arguably. I think had a couple low-rated games early season, which really hurt her rating and her chance for winning this award, but was absolutely outstanding. Other good players, I mean, there was a ton of really good players in the as first-year players this year. There's no doubt about it. I'm just trying to get the full leaderboard up. Jessica Wrench got 10 votes. Ash Centra and Riley Wotherspoon both with 9. Sarah Posty 7. Ridewood and Sophie McKay with 5 each. Forbes, Greaves, Flockhart, Simons, Adams and Lily Rose Williamson all with 4. And the list keeps going down. So really, really good season from Zippy Fish. Was absolutely had to be, without a doubt, the winner of this award. There was no way that anybody else was even in the same realm, and that theme will continue. You'll see how good of a season Zippy Fish had very shortly when we go through Team of the Year, but also the ratings, which we will run through the best 5 rated players, first year players, shortly. All AFLW second team for the year. So we do 2 Team of the Years, the best team and the second best team. We're doing second best team first. We're starting with Paige Trudgeon from St Kilda in the key back line with Italia Gillard. Halfbacks, Serene Watson, Neve McLaughlin and Erica O'Shea. Some really good run and carry there and good ball use as well. Our centre line, Eliza McNamara from Melbourne, Kiara Bowers and Gabrielle Newton. Half forward line of Elliot Blackburn, Aaron Fitzpatrick and Michaela Bowen. Full forward line, Gemma Houghton and Talia Randall. Our ruck lineup, Matilda Schultz in ruck, and then Monique Conti and Tyler Hanks as your rover and ruck rover. And then the interchange, Aisling Maloney, Brianna Conan, Charlie Rowbottom, Ali Anderson, and Jennifer Dunn. So 3 Brisbane Lions on that bench. All of those players, I think, could arguably be mentioned in the first team. It's very hard to pick just 21 players as the best 21 for the year and trying to keep them basically in the position that they actually play. I think this is a really good team, though. Across the board, there's some really, really good players in there. So all of them unlucky not to make the first team. But when we get to the first team, I think it's hard to argue against any of them as well that made the first team. So we'll jump into that now. And here it is. Full back line, Harriet Cordner was the #1 rated key defender this year. And I think was last year as well, to be honest. Absolutely fantastic season there from Harriet. Deserves the spot. Cambridge McCormick, I think, underrated by a lot of people. Had an outstanding season. Plays key defence, but also wins a fair bit of the ball. I think main place where completely was disregarded was in the GWS Best and Fairest, I think. Cambridge finished 5th in that, which is ridiculous. In my opinion, was GWS's best player this season. Absolutely deserves a spot in this team, in my opinion. Emma O'Driscoll, half-back line, really good season from Emma. Maeve Chaplin, also really good on that half-back line. Tani White, I couldn't go against Tani as the only Collingwood player in the top 2 teams. The development and increase in output from Tani this season was absolutely fantastic. Defended really well. Had a couple games where it turned it over a few too many times, but overall, like the game against North Melbourne, absolutely fantastic. Really, really good season from Tani White. So I think deserves a spot in this team. By far the best wing outside midfielder in the competition this year. Dana Finn did play a little bit of inside mid at times, but basically was an outside mid and had an absolutely sensational season. One of the biggest increases in ratings from 2024 to 2025 in the whole competition. Absolutely deserves a spot in this team. Ella Roberts, arguably top 3 midfielder in the competition. I think next year we'll be pushing towards that #1 spot. Absolute gun of the competition. Go watch the first half of the first game of this season against Gold Coast. Absolutely exceptional player, Ella Roberts. She can turn a game on her own. Ebony Marinoff, hard tackling midfielder, obviously won the league best and fairest last year. Had a big drop-off in terms of votes this year in that regard, but still rated really highly. Turns it over a bit more than maybe we would like to see, but still a fantastic season there from Ebony Marinoff. Half-forward line, Kate Hoare obviously plays a lot of midfield time, but also does come out of full forward a bit. And when she is forward, she will damage you. Kicks a lot of goals, wins a lot of football, just an absolute star of the game. Blytheen Bogue for North Melbourne kicked, I think in the end, like 25 goals or so for the season, including finals. Absolutely sensational for them. The Kangaroos had a massive impact on this season and on the Kangaroos' success up forward this year. Was fantastic. Courtney Hodder, fantastic year. Rating rose by about 25 odd points, went from about 120th best player in the competition to top 50. Absolute fantastic season. Plays mostly forward, does rotate through midfield. Absolutely huge for the Brisbane Lions this year. Full forward line, Owen McDonough for Hawthorn, key forward that was crucial in the back half of the season for Hawthorn. Really got the game going and is one of the best key forwards in terms of targets in the competition for sure. And the other key forward, Indy Tahu, ends up winning leading goal kicker for the home and away season and tied, I think, for most at the end of the season with Blytheen Bogue. Fantastic year from Indy Tahu. Certainly the second half of the year really took off. Fantastic performance there. In the ruck, Mim Strom, both the rucks in this team, I had to put 2 of them in this team because they both rated really highly, but Mimstrom, fantastic again. Was the highest rated ruck in the competition in 2024. And 2025 just edged out Lucy Wales again for that award. So only just this year, whereas last year it was a clear difference. But I think clearly top two ruckman in the competition. The next two is no surprise. Jazz Garner, absolute gun in the midfield, highest rated player in the competition for the second year in a row. Rating went up even higher than last year. Actually, Ebony Marinoff might have been highest last year. Maybe. It was close between them, either way. But Jazz Garner this year, absolutely insanely good. Kick goals, got a lot of football. I think kicked 6 goals from 26 touches or something in about round 3 or 4. You just can't stop Jazz. It might have been round 2 actually. I think it might have been when I was in Melbourne at the Collingwood GWS game. No, Richmond Bulldogs game I was at. Just a fantastic season and output for Jazz Garner. Absolute, in my opinion, best player in the competition. Maybe the best player we've seen in the AFLW competition in the first 10 seasons. Very, very close, if not. Ash Riddell, ridiculous numbers. Averaged like 37 odd touches per game this year. Absolute insane output. Those numbers would be massive in any competition, but to do it at the top level in AFLW with shortened quarters compared to the men's game, I know there's less players and whatnot, but still, absolutely ridiculous output. 37 touches a game is ridiculous. I posted a stat on Twitter X/Blue Sky this week about games with 36 plus disposals this season. I think there was 12 instances of it happening, and 9 of them were Ash Riddell. 2 of them were Laura Gardner, and 1 was Jazz Garner. So that just shows you how much football Ash Riddell won this year compared to everybody else in the competition. Ridiculous. On the bench, Zippy Fish, I think arguably top 4 running defenders this season. So I've given Zippy the tick of approval into the first team. Maybe could have gone into the second team, but I'm happy with her there. Laura Gardner, as we just mentioned, had a lot of football this year, was crucial in Sydney's midfield role, was clearly Sydney's highest rated player this year, was fantastic. Chloe Malloy did miss the end of the season, but some of the output we had from Chloe early to mid-season was huge for Sydney, and a reason why they were looking good early days was Chloe's ability in that forward line. Kicked 7 goals 3, I think, in 1 week. Could have kicked 10, which would have been insane. But yeah, I've got Chloe in the team, just sneaking into the team. Lucy Wales, as I said, was the second highest ruckman or ruck in the competition. Both Lucy and Mim were basically the same rating, and a fair way back was what's her name? Schultz, Matilda Schultz. Oh my goodness, my brain is fried. So yeah, these two were clearly out in front. Then it was Matilda Schultz, and then it was a big gap down to the next bunch, which was Imogen Barnett and a few others. So I think the 3 had to be across the 2 teams, and I think these 2 were clearly the highest rated this year. Final spot on the team goes to Georgie Prespakis. And I gave it to Georgie because of the score involvements and the clearance game that Georgie brings to the Geelong Football Club is absolutely huge. The numbers are massive in both those areas. So Georgie Prespakis got the nod over some other very good mids who went into the second team instead of the first. That is my all AFLW first team for season 2025. Highest rated players by position is next. So this goes by position. General defenders Emma O'Driscoll with a 94.02 rating for the year. We're not going to go through every single detail of the rating system, but basically it just puts together all the stats, ball use, turnovers, intercepts, tackles, pretty much every stat you can get your hand on, puts it into an algorithm and gives us a number. and this is their average rating for the season. Harriet Cordner was the highest rated key defender, as we mentioned earlier, 92.08, just ahead of Cambridge McCormick, who was like about 90. General forward, Michaela Bowen with an 86.58. Key forward, Aisling Maloney with a 78.62. Inside mid was obviously Jazz Garner, no surprise there, 136.23. I think the highest rated player last year was Ebony Marinoff at about a 128. So Jazz Garner has well and truly gone above that this year. Outside mid, Dana Finn, 92.18, up on from about 45 or 55 last season, which is crazy improvement. And ruck, as we said, Mim Strong, 106.61. Lucy Wales was also above 106. Highest rated first year players, and this is a massive gap. Sippy Fish, 90.1. Absolutely outstanding season. Basically, general defender most of the season. For someone the size of Sippy Fish, very, very small, has a really good contested defensive ability. I noticed that live when I watched them play the Kangaroos. Did defend really well for her size, so absolutely is going to be insane, and I think will move into the midfield at some point. It's only a matter of time, probably next year, to be honest, and arguably could absolutely change the game in there. Similar sort of size to an Ash Riddell, so maybe that's a sort of role that Zippy Fish is going to take on. Absolutely looks like going to be a gun, though. Madison Torpe only played 3 games with 1 game a rating of 73.96, so gets into second spot. Arguably, probably shouldn't be on this list due to how few games. Madison played, but yeah, I put her on there anyway at 73.96 as a ruck. Poppy Schultz, absolutely fantastic season from Poppy. Sister of Matilda Schultz, who we've already seen in the competition really play good football, and Poppy's done exactly the same. Started probably more in the back line, moved forward in the second half of the season and was fantastic. Played 15 games, rating of 66.87. Absolutely huge performance from Poppy, and some exciting times for her. Next was Havana Harris, whose season started absolutely fantastic. First probably 5 weeks were the best 5 weeks of the season for Havana. Maybe dropped off a little bit in the back half of the year. Certainly did rating-wise. But I think that's okay. Obviously a key forward that maybe plays ruck at some points of her career. Really tall, going to be huge for Gold Coast Suns over the next 5-6 years, you'd have to think. Lucia Painter was number 5. General forward, rated really well. Came out of the blocks really well in those first 4 weeks as well. A bit like Havana Harris, but probably didn't drop off as much in the back half of the season. Maybe did. Next best was, so the one that was unlucky to miss out on this list due to putting Madison Torpe in, was Blathin Bogue from the Kangaroos. A rating of 60.42. As we've said, kicked a lot of goals this season, was fantastic. Next players, Ash Centra, number 1 pick for Collingwood. Kaylee Kavanagh, Daisy Flockhart, Indy Strom, Sophie McKay, Tessa Boyd, Sarah Howley. So plenty of good players in that list. Second year players. Number 1, Sorad Taylor from Melbourne, 77.75. Really, really good season there as a key defender. One of the better key defenders in the competition with that rating. Piper Window, who missed a lot of football this year, got injured first game of the year, came back and got injured again, basically. Played 1 game, got injured, came back and got injured again halfway through the next one. So didn't see much of Piper Window, but I believe over the next couple of years will be a massive improver in rating as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see that go up into like the 90s. I think Piper is absolutely going to be a gun of the competition. If she can stay injury-free. Amy Gaylor was fantastic for Essendon as well. More midfield time this year and absolutely capitalised on it. Really good performance from her. Georgie Cleaver from West Coast was outstanding in that key defence role. And Jessica Wrench also from West Coast. Hard tackling player Jessica is, and had a really good season, a rating of 68.38. Worth noting, as we said, Zippy Fisher a 90 in a debut season. Second year player's highest rated player was a 77, so that shows how good Zippy Fisher's year was. Third year players, Matilda Schultz, no surprise there. Fantastic last season, fantastic again this year. In the ruck, played maybe a couple quiet games to start the season, but from round 3 onwards was huge. Round 3 was an absolute mammoth game. When Matilda's flying, there's very few players that could even go close to stopping her. Dana Finn, number 2, as I said, outstanding improvement from Dana Finn, rated a 48.8 in 2024, up to a 92.18 in 2025. So fantastic improvement there by Dana Finn. Worth noting also, Matilda Schultz went up from a 72.8 to a 92.9, so good improvement from her as well. Tanya Kennedy, not as big an improvement for Sydney. The inside mid went from a 72 up to an 88. Neve McLaughlin, who was an All-Australian this year, was outstanding. Went from a 69.8 up to an 83, so good season there. And Aaron Fitzpatrick, who I think is one of the more underrated factors of this Carlton lineup this year, was absolutely crucial in multiple games and multiple wins for the Blues. Ended up with a rating of 79.17. Absolute outstanding season from Aaron. Just worth noting, I don't have graphics for other years. We've only done the first 3, but just worth noting, highest rated 4th year player was Ella Roberts, no surprise there, followed by Lucy Wales. Both of them outstanding. When you scroll down to 5th year players, number 1 was Georgie Prasparkas, Charlie Rowbottom 2nd, Charlotte Thomas 3rd. 6th year players, Laura Gardner number 1 by a mile ahead of anyone. 7 year players, this is since their debut, Mim Strom number 1, Gabrielle Newton number 2. 8 years is Olivia Purcell, but only played 1 game really, so doesn't really count, but Ash Riddell, Tyler Hanks and Georgia Nanscarwin in that group. 9 year, so missed the first season of AFLW, number 1 Kate Hoare, number 2 Monique Conti. And then of those players that debuted in season 1, obviously Jazz Garner, a 136, Ebony Marinoff, 120, Kiara Bowers, number 3. So yeah, that's highest rated players by year. Only thing left to look at is how our season predictions went. So this is the graphic we used in our preview episode, and there's a lot of things that did not go great here. So first of all, we'll go through the ladder and see how we did. Well, number 1, we did okay because North Melbourne did finish on top. Wasn't a big get, but it was a get nonetheless. We said Adelaide for 2nd. They finished 6th. They had a chance to do better, but they just dropped a few games that I think they shouldn't have. But still, not great, but they did play finals. Number 3 was Brisbane. That is exactly where they finished. So 2 out of the top 3 we got in the right spots. 4, we said Fremantle. This was a big drop-off from us. They finished 11th, 6 wins, 6 losses. Only percentage out of finals. They had a chance to play finals. They lost that final round by 12 points, which would have put them into finals. But still, we put a hand up. We were wrong on that one. Hawthorn, we said 5th. They finished 4th, so pretty close there. The Bombers is a bad one. They won 3 of their first 4 games and then basically only won 1 more game, which was the final round. So that was a big drop-off. We said 6th. They finished 14th. Port Adelaide also struggled this year. We had them in 7th. They finished 10th. Melbourne, we had it in 8th. They got 2nd. So I mean, they did better than we expected, but we did expect them to play finals at least. Sydney finished in 9th spot, so we get that one exactly right. We then had Geelong in 10. They finished 13th, so not too bad. Richmond, we had in the 11th. They finished 16th with just 2 wins. Their season was a lot worse than we expected. St Kilda, we had in 12th. They finished 7th. They were a really good improver this year. Their percentage was absolutely horrible, but they were really good at winning games. When it mattered, GWS, we had 13th. They finished 17th. We were really wrong on GWS. I thought some of their young players might have lifted them up a bit better than they did. West Coast were the big improvers as well. We had them in 14th. They made it into the 8th spot. Carlton, we were also wrong. We had 15th and they jumped up to 5th. We should have seen that one coming a bit better than we did. We'll put our hands up on that one. Gold Coast, we thought their young players might do a little bit better than they did. We had 16th. They finished 18th with just 2 wins. Western Bulldogs were a lot better than we expected. They finished in 12th, playing some really good football. Absolutely dominated the lower ranked teams. We had Collingwood coming 18th. They finished on 3 wins in 15th. We get the premiers right. We said North Melbourne. We got it right. No big award for that, though, because, I mean, it's pretty expected. Runners up, we said Adelaide. They obviously lost in a semi-final, but still weren't terrible this season. League best and fairest, Ebony Marinoff, I thought played really good still this year, but didn't get the votes. Ella Roberts certainly finished high up in the league best and fairest. Didn't compete with Ash Riddell in the end. But still was pretty high up in the votes, if we're being completely honest. I'm just trying to remember exactly the position that she finished. In 4th with 15 votes. No, 5th. Yeah, 4th. On 17 votes, sorry. So 6 votes off the win. So not too bad there from Ella Roberts. And Abby Dowrick finished top 10 with 11 votes. So pretty solid there as well, but not quite enough. Port Adelaide just didn't win enough games of football. Rising Star was one that we did pretty horribly in. We went Caitlin Sahoy. Did get nominated, but was never in the running with Zippy Fish in the end, and probably not in the contention with the top 6 or 7, to be honest. Not as big improvement from Caitlin Sahoy as we kind of thought we might get. Rating actually was pretty much identical to last season. Leading goal kicker, we said Gemma Houghton, not far off in all honesty. Both Port Adelaide key forwards dominated the goal kicking this year. Didn't do enough to win the goal kicking, but did finish with 23, which was only 2 off the leader, which was Indy Tahu at the end of the regular season. So pretty close, basically. Second place there with Gemma Houghton. So that's AFLW season wrapped up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We went through all of the grand final plus all of our award winners. That's episode 86 in the books. We've only got probably 2 more episodes, I believe, left for season 2025. Plenty more content, though, coming out over the summer months as we prepare for season 2026 in the men's competition. And then, obviously, in about 9 months' time, we'll be ramping up AFLW content, probably more like 8 months' time, for next season. So we will do a wrap-up of draft night in the AFLW draft in a couple of weeks, and trade period. That will be in 2 weeks' episode, I think, maybe 3. So stay tuned for that. AFL men's competition coming up. Check out all the socials. I'm going to try and post a ton of stuff in pre-season this year. We'll be looking at best 23s. We'll be looking at ins, outs, everything you need to know about how your team is going to go in season 2026. So make sure you hit subscribe or follow if you haven't already. Like this video, go check out the socials. All Aussie Rules everywhere. I'm Jay. This has been another episode of the All Aussie Rules Football Podcast. I thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.